In 1888, American journalist David Goodman Croly published a collection of forecasts called Glimpses of the Future, suggestions as to the drift of things. He died the following year. Croly's scope was vast. He made guesses about politics, literature, race relations, scientific discovery, the list goes on. Despite a lack of theme, all the forecasts applied to the 20th century, which is why he asked they be judged in the year 2000. Why he didn't want his predictions to have that final full year of the 20th century to come true, we'll never know. One disclaimer before we start. Croly sucked. We're not here to celebrate him, we're just geeking out about the accuracy of some old forecasts. I'm gonna split this book into a few different videos. This one will be about forecasts for global affairs. The big ticket item is World War. With France already pissed at Germany over war in 1870, and Emperor Wilhelm, a man Croly thought overly aggressive, rising to power in Germany, Croly said war would soon consume Europe. World War I started 25 years later. He thought Italy would side with Germany, but despite Italy agreeing to the same secret alliance that would pair up Germany and Austria-Hungary, Italy fought for the other team. We can give Croly half a point, though, since any beef was squashed in time for Italy and Germany's famous team-up in World War II. For our part, I'm American, Croly thought we'd be involved. True. He also thought Great Britain would lose Canada in the war. To us. False. Let's talk about territory, though. In the 20th century, the states were destined to take Canada, Mexico, Central America, and Caribbean islands like Cuba, Jamaica, and Haiti. Sorry, I'm just getting a little emotional over this glorious image. Of course, none of that's happened. Yet. He thought the British Imperial Empire would dwindle, which is pretty much the story of the 20th century after World War II. Most notably, he said the Brits would lose India by 1950. It happened in 1947. And then Russia. He presumed they would take Turkey, Persia, and South Asia. China's overwhelming population would prove too much to handle. Obviously wrong, but his other thoughts on Russia warrant special attention. We've established he thought they'd control Asia. He also guessed they'd become the foremost power in Europe, under some type of new government. Combine these with one more forecast, that the states would be set against Russia for global supremacy, and he hit on something major for the 20th century. The Cold War. While he thought this would play out as a naval rivalry in the Pacific, keep in mind he lived in a world without nukes. A few more guesses about global affairs. We were to be on a universal currency by the year 2000, backed by silver, or possibly acres of farmland. Fiat paper money would never be reality. We were to adopt universal weights and measures. To this, I say, how dare you, Liberia and Burma? Croly doubted any universal language would take over. True for the 20th century, but while the likes of Esperanto have no hope, economic opportunity has brought languages like English and Chinese to hundreds of millions of non-native speakers around the world. To end on an ambiguous note, he thought international courts could never work, and only hegemony could bring about peace and arms reduction. I'm not brave enough to evaluate that one. You can put your thoughts below if you've got a strong opinion. That's all I care to mention for international happenings. In my mind, the coolest guesses were German aggression inflaming Europe and the US and Russia fighting for supremacy. Meanwhile, his thoughts on territorial holdings and global coordination were usually a little bombastic. Next time we'll look at the supposed future of tech and the humanities. Bye.